In the aftermath of her husband's tragic death, geez, I said that in a very sing-song way, didn't I, for a tragic death? Sorry. In the aftermath of her husband's tragic death, Harper Marlowe, played by Jessie Buckley, seeks solace in the serene English countryside, renting a charming manor from the quirky yet affable Geoffrey, played by Rory Kinnear. As she immerses herself in the village's tranquil beauty, Harper's attempts at healing are disrupted by a series of unsettling encounters with local men, all of whom bear an uncanny resemblance to Rory Kinnear. These interactions range from the bizarre to the menacing, leaving Harper questioning the reality of her experiences. As the days pass, the line between reality and nightmare blurs, leading Harper to confront not only the eerie manifestations around her, but also the deep-seated traumas and guilt that she carries. The film masterfully weaves elements of psychological horror with dark humour, offering thought-provoking explorations of grief, guilt, and the complexities of human emotion. The grotesque and surreal finale leaves viewers unsettled and unsure of exactly what they've just witnessed.
I would say 99.5% of people who came out of the cinema or out of the streaming experience went, what the hell just happened at the end of Men? And then they sit there and they think about it. Maybe if they liked it, they think about it. And there's a lot there to unpick.
Well, therein lies the reason for my mentioning Men, because I had precisely the same feeling watching Men as I did with The Substance.
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. It's that feeling of you're disturbed, you're psychologically scarred a little bit, and you're trying to figure out why the film was made and whether anyone should see it or should have been able to see it. And then you started kind of enjoyed it. So then you're trying to unpick that. Why did I like that?
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. It's complicated.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Men I would see again, and I did. I probably will come back around to The Substance again, but I just need some time from it. But I really enjoyed watching Men again.
Yeah. Well, the parallels between these films, I really can't get past the ending. So I don't think I've seen a finale of a film quite like either of these, and they just remind me of each other, and I can't think of anything else that that does so. So they're both ending with really insane body horror sequences. Specifically, spoiler alert, where you've got characters giving birth to variants of themselves.
Yeah.
So the parallels are quite stark.
Yeah. There's a lot. It's actually a really great, reminds me of. It's a great reference. There's the body horror, the absolute extremity of that at the end of the film, like pushed to the nth degree in both films. The birthing, the sort of, it's almost like you can't have that birthing without a witness to it, and sort of both end up having that moment in their own way. But then there's also other things like the portrayal of men, the objectification of women, and there's just so much to it. Interestingly, and this is why I asked you about the Men, this one was written and directed by a man, and I think his portrayal of men is way more nuanced, but that's sort of the point. And it's interesting to put the two side by side and see how both the women and the men are portrayed in a story that's got quite a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I had a very different reading of Men than most people that I've seen. And we had a whole episode on
we did
on this with Emma, remember?
Yeah, we did.
So it was
great.
It was a long episode, so check it out, links somewhere.
Yeah.
With The Substance, my reading is it's the unraveling of this woman or women in the context of this, the societal pressures put on them in a masculine world. With Men, I almost see it as the opposite, where it's the men unraveling due to the pressures of women in the world, and where is our role? If it, are we meant to be this or that or the other? So I saw it very much comment on masculinity
Yes.
in men rather than perhaps on women in
Yes.
the substance.
Yes. Yeah, no, but and yet the target of objectification in both is women. It's sort of like we're getting both sides of the equation.
Yeah, true.
Like we're getting so in the substance, we're getting a really deep dive into women and how they deal with that objectification. I mean, I wouldn't put it all on men. I think there's also there's a lot to be said there just for the industry and people in general and how they want to sort of consume beauty and that turnover that comes with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's levels to that. But then in men, it's that cycle of male toxicity, I guess is probably how Alex Garland would describe it. But just that sort of male kind of cycles of behavior that then, and that it seems to be kind of focused at women. And that last line struck me again. I know it got me last time. And when I saw it this time, where the main character in Men's she says, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
And he just says, "To be loved." That just floors me.
Well, yeah, that's the kernel of the whole film. So in the substance, it's a comment on women. What do you want? I just want to be, adored.
Yeah.
And in this one, it's men. I just want to be loved.
Isn't that the sad thing about this whole thing is that you've got men and women, which on some level aren't very compatible, but they want to be loved by each other.
Yeah.
And you end up with these awful outcomes.
Both wanting the same thing.
Yeah.
Leading to monstrous horror show climactic endings.
Yep.
Speaking of the ending again, what I was struck by was the tone that each had was very similar to each other, but very different to anything else I can remember. Where it must be such an experiment for the filmmakers, because there's humor through these transformations that they go through. Like sometimes you're laughing hysterically. Even in Men, it was horrific, but it's so ludicrous that you can't help but be laughing at the same time that you're sort of scared. So yeah, any comment on what the tone of it did to you, or whether you think they were similar?
Yeah, so I think both films. So Men is a little unusual, I would say. It's more of a folk horror in tone, and then the Substance is just full on body horror, and it leans really into that genre.
Yeah.
To the point where everything feels like it's trying to grate on your nerves and make you feel disgusted in some way, and uncomfortable, down to like the wacky sort of wide angle lenses on Dennis Quaid and the eating shots and all that sort of stuff. Like it's through and through, like they really lean into that. Both are done superbly well, I think. Like the tone is pitch perfect for both. I don't know. These two films is like great. They're examples of why I love horror. Like horror is so versatile. And whenever you talk to people, most of the time when you say horror, they're imagining slasher films.
Yeah.
And they're just sort of missing or just looking over the fact that horror is actually this versatile. There's so many great films that are horror films that make you think and give you these different reactions other than just, it's blood and guts.
Yeah. The thing with horror is that while there are conventions, there are actually no boundaries.
Yeah.
So, you can make the monsters whatever you want. The more ridiculous, the better.
Yeah. And what a perfect vehicle for like commentary on society.
Yeah.
It's great.
Agree. Well, that's Men. Any other thoughts on that before we get to your one?
No, other than I love it.
Yep, me too.
And it's another one of those films, Men and The Substance, where I I love it, and I tell people it's great, and go see it, and then I think maybe I shouldn't have said go see it.
You say that very regularly.
I know.
Maybe I shouldn't tell people to go and see this film that we've just watched.
Well, I just want to be liked. I want to be loved.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.